open internet. What makes the open internet? What are the various things, right? And that is things like websites. It's things like OTT streaming, audio streaming. There's a lot of things that make up the open internet. There are millions of ways that people are connecting every day. The flip side, when we talk about this stuff, is walled gardens. Just as a shortcut, think of walled gardens as big tech. Things where, as an example, for social media, right, if you're an advertiser, you're giving them money, and ultimately they're trying to keep that money within the walled garden, right? A very different approach, and certainly something that brands are working with every day. We are here. Oh, look at that, we got a slide. Very good. So a few examples here. I just want to point out with the open internet as well. It includes digital out-of-home, right? A lot of people don't realize just how connected everything is on the internet, or with the internet, but it's all there, right? So as an advertiser, you can go out into the market and reach everyone in all these different places. So the question is, what's the best way to reach those consumers? I told you there would be a slide that, at least to me, is the most important slide. I think this is it in the stack. Let me just walk through for a second so you can understand. On the top, we have the time spent by consumers in India on the open internet versus the time spent within walled gardens. Right? Maybe you thought it would show up differently. 52% of the time spent by the average consumer in India is spent in the open internet, right? So people are already spending time exactly where, in the ways that certainly the open internet makes sense for you. Now the flip side is, look where the ad spend is happening, right? Roughly 85% or 85% is being spent in walled gardens, right? That is a huge opportunity, right? And ultimately what's going to happen with advertisers, they're going to chase the consumers. So over time, that's going to, the ad spend is going to look a lot more like where consumers are. Huge opportunity there to get ahead of things, and ultimately probably better priced, at least for the time being. I just thought this was fascinating too from our study, which we'll give to everyone. We also looked at the time of day, and look at the mornings and evenings when people have time alone. If you look at the blue line, that's the open internet. People are spending more time on the open internet. They're spending slightly less time during the middle of the day, during the work day. You might have a few theories about that. I certainly never been one to sit on social media in the work day. Don't tell my boss. But right, this is a gap, and I think this is something that also, perhaps for your particular brand, you want to reach people at a specific moment in time, right? So depending on the time of day, you might also be thinking, I should actually favor the open internet here. So we have about 600 million Indian consumers who are on the open internet, right? That makes up roughly 90% of those connected to the internet who are engaging, who are actively saying they're engaging with the open internet in all these fascinating and different ways. So really good stuff here. I'm going to run through a few quick stats because I thought these were interesting and compelling, and then we'll jump into the panel quickly. So 1, 3, and 4 are telling us that they plan to increase their usage of the open internet in the next 6 months, right? So when we look at consumer preference, where they're getting media consumption or entertainment, those kinds of things, that's shifting, 3 and 4. 26% say they're more likely to be engaged or immersed in OTT content, right? As compared to social media. Just think about what that actually means. That's premium content, right? And if you're an advertiser, putting yourself next to premium content where people are fully engaged, that is a much higher value than next to a cat video or something like that, right? So certainly an important thing that we want to be focusing on. Let's talk about building a brand. We just heard a discussion where they hit a lot of topics relating to building a brand. 22% say they're more likely to increase brand recall on advertisements that come on the open internet versus walled gardens, right? So really powerful stuff. But ultimately, building a brand, it's all about purchase. We got data on that this year. We've got a 17% lift. 17% more likely to purchase if they're seeing those ads in the open internet, in all these different ways, all these different spaces. So just a lot of really compelling stats. So I promised you a panel before we do, I just want to briefly touch on these macro trends that are going to accelerate the growth of the open internet. Certainly the first one, OTT, streaming entertainment, right? Everyone is doing this more and more. Every day it is a massive shift in terms of how people are consuming content, when they are consuming content, all of these things. The next trend here, cookies are going away at some point. We all know it. It's the, if you don't know it, I hate to break it to you. The nice thing, certainly the trade desk that we've implemented, we've actually seen an increase in terms of purchase conversion for brands with a cookieless solution, but this all helps to make the case for the power of the open internet. Everything being connected. Happy to chat separately about that. The third thing here, growth of retailer-first data here, right? When you think of going to the open internet, you might say, well, I have my first-party data as a brand, but what else can I get? You can layer in all sorts of retailer data, right? That's shopper marketing data that just really drives home. We know exactly who the consumer is, whether they're watching content, streaming it on a audio, whether they're reading something on a there's all sorts of ways where we can connect that user with shopper data. So with that, I want to invite the panelists up for the discussion here. And while they're coming to the stage, we get no music? We can do some music, yeah. Otherwise, I'll just dance to while the panelists come to the stage, if you're curious to get the report, certainly you can take a picture of the QR code here, download it either side. Otherwise, we lost that. How about that? We also have this available. We'll have this available later today. And certainly for anyone who, if you bump into someone who works for the trade desk, we're happy to connect you through to the report. I think we lost the QR. We'll take that chair though. Can the panelists come on stage? For the Q&A. Fantastic. Okay. Great. Here's a QR code. Keep this in. Fantastic. Welcome everyone. I'm going to give everyone a chance to introduce themselves here. So briefly, your name, who you are, and what's a recent experience or engagement that you personally have had with the open internet.
Archana, I head media for Airtel. I think I watch news, I listen to music, podcasts, everything on the open internet.
Hi, my name is Atik and I'm part of GroupM. I look after all the digital products and services for GroupM India. Open internet for me, the whole experience has been, again, like your OTT apps, your CDD, and a lot of consumption that I do to get news or information across the web. Thank you.
My name is Rahul. I lead revenue for Trade Desk. Let me give you an example from today, Mike. So my consumption of open internet today was while running, listening to Spotify music. Then reading some articles about, I think the Oscar ceremony, right? Like it won some great awards. Nadu. It's a proud moment for Indian cinema. Those two things are good.
Fantastic, right? So even when we're running, we're using the open internet, streaming music or what have you. Rahul, I'd love to start with you. Why is it so important to talk about the open internet?
Sure, Mike. So I think let me kind of put it in context here at X. Let's kind of talk about ads, why they're important. I think if you talk about ads, most of the professionally developed content, which is premium in nature, would not be possible if it's not funded by ads, right? So without ads, consumers would have to pay a lot more for the subscription costs for premium content which is available. So in short, ads support a lot of premium broadcasted content, which is important for all of us, and we can't like do with enough or more content, right? But let me tell you why it's important, right? So I'll give you 3 reasons why open internet is going to be important. Number one is, like the study said, right? 52% of people are spending time on the open internet, right? So traditionally, media dollars have followed where consumer attention is, right? So media dollars is going to be increasing more important and directed towards open internet, where consumers are spending time. Number two, premium broadcasted content is brand safe, which is what a lot of advertisers care about. So that's what open internet is all about. And last but not the least, open internet is also about omni-channel strategy, which advertisers care about, by giving great experience to consumers.
Fantastic. I love thinking about omni-channel strategy and how that's changing. Atif, what's your perspective on omni-channel and how digital has been changing?
Well, I'll answer that question in the context of the topic, which is open internet, right? And specifically, open internet for me is a ecosystem where everybody gets to collaborate to make advertising better for users and for clients, right? And also, the entire value chain can actually contribute with a degree to the value that they bring to make that advertising work, right? So that's really important for us. And I think ad tech, I mean, the kind of players that we have and the participants out here is a huge manifestation of open internet itself in this way, right? At GroupM specifically, it's becoming very important for us to ensure that every single ad impression is an opportunity for us. And how do we make it most is by making it addressable. What it means is kind of, in simple words, is to make it hyper-personalized or hyper-localized in nature, right? And to do that, it is important to kind of really ensure that we're using the right level of technology, the data, the context, the content, and more importantly is the whole idea to kind of augment and transform the creative to make the maximum positive impact for our clients, right? That's where it's kind of really shaping. More importantly, I mean, in India, I think we predicted that the entire digital ad space is approximately 8,000 crores. Okay, and it's surpassed television, so it's a good time for digital media in India specifically. And with that growth, obviously, a large spends do go into the larger ecosystems because they have done a fantastic job in terms of kind of really amassing audiences, products, and connecting all the touch points. And they have helped to grow marketplaces or grow businesses as well. But when it comes to specifically open internet, the opportunity is amazing because you see that CTV, there's a massive shift of consumers. There is a massive consumption of OTTs out here. Retail media is kind of over the roof. So there's a lot action happening, and in fact, the investments to the open internet are also increasing. And I feel that there is a massive opportunity where clients are looking to diversify their investments, and a lot of big brands in India have successfully done that. They've taken their video stack onto the open internet ecosystem, etc., and doing good results. I feel it's a fantastic opportunity for open internet to grow, providing they make the entire advertising experience more simple in nature. They need to ensure they clean up all the bad actors because most of the bad actors are in the open internet space. And more importantly, it's to kind of ensure that make the big players participate in a transparent and a biddable equal way so that it can compete with the other players in the market.
I love that. Archana, I'd love to hear, because you're a big player in the space, obviously a legacy brand that everyone knows. How are you dealing with that shift of digital strategy, particularly with the legacy of so much positivity in the strategies that came in the years prior?
So, consumer centricity is the core of all our digital platform decision. So it's where the consumers go, that's where our ad goes. So our spend distribution is far more equal distribution between the open web and the larger ecosystem. It's not like we're only going towards a particular ecosystem that's spread out because we find that's where the consumer are to go, right? And also what we've seen is that in the past few years, the digital stacks of the open web has also increased and improved, which is also helping, as Ram mentioned, the fact that high quality content, highly engaged audiences, some level of transparency, which is available, and a lot of more than 80% of all of this is possible. We can serve through programmatic, which actually helps. And the kind of decisioning we do on the open web is on platforms which are brand safe and have all the digital user pieces in terms of legal requirements all in place, right? Otherwise, because for us, brand safety is very important, and we actually have a third party uh, uh, added on to our tech stack just to ensure that there's additional layer of brand safety. Right? That's very important, right? So, given all of this, I think because consumers are the core, that's who we want to reach, and that's how we are looking at driving our activities. It's purely where the consumer is.
I love that. I think every strategy has to be audience first and focused on the consumers. As an advertiser, my next thought is well, how do I reach people on the open internet and do it in a scalable way? And Rahul, maybe you can speak to what the trade desk's role is in the open internet.
Sure, Mike. So I think MarTech and AdTech is a very complicated word, right? So let me kind of simplify it for the crowd in terms of I'm going to take a stab at simplifying trade desk. We use an abbreviation called TTD, which is the trade desk. So I'm going to use that to simplify what trade desk does. The first T is about technology, which is the core of the platform, core of everything that we do. We've got a wonderful UI. These are people telling who use the platform day in day out, where you can set up KPIs for the advertisers if they care about. Monday morning, have a coffee, see what KPIs are delivering, campaigns are facing well or not. So technology is something which is what we're great at. We're shipping products on a weekly basis. So that's number one. Number two is about T. The second T is about trust and transparency, which a lot of advertisers care about. We spoke about brand safety, making sure that the open internet is safe for everybody. So trust and transparency is key for us because we don't own any inventory. It's most likely an open marketplace where advertisers and partners choose the best inventory source. You can select the best brand measurement partners that you choose. So if you're going to let's say a lunch buffet, you take what you want to eat and pay only for what you eat, right? So that's second. The D is in decisioning, because I think in the ad world, no two impressions are same. There's viewability, there's brand safety, there's above the fold, below the fold. So decisioning, which is pure programmatic, is super important. And I think that is what trade desk enables for a healthy value exchange where publishers care about the inventory source that they sell and advertisers take care about finding the right audience for them. So that's the application for you.
I love that and all the transparency that goes along with that. So critical, so important. To close things out, I'd love to hear Archana and then Ateek. What does the future look like when you're looking at the next 5 years or so?
See, India is becoming a matured internet economy, right? We have more than 500 million 4G smartphone users in the country, right? And I think most of these consumers are already very clear in their minds, both subconsciously and consciously, as to what source of information, where do they want to go to get their source of information. And be it, so I was reading a study, AWS study 2020, which talked about that more than 80% of consumers go to the open internet to get information on, say, news, business, be it things like weather and what to buy, for example. And what I found very surprising was that 60% of these people go to the open internet to find information about celebrities or read about celebrities. So there is a lot of information available, and as I said, consumers are already clear in their mind. And obviously, they've made these choices based on how easy it is to access, or how easy it is to use that particular website, or what's the authenticity of the data, and that's obviously from our overall history of maybe word of mouth and things like that. So when consumers have already decided in their mind, so for marketers and the way the future of advertising in digital is going to be very clearly I think what we are already doing and what you mentioned also is actually audience first and platform second, because audiences are at the core of today. Marketers are only looking at audiences because I want my communication to reach to the consumer, right? And hence audience first becomes very critical, and not like deciding I want to be on platform ABC because maybe they have scale or whatever. It's about going to the smaller, or sometimes even going to smaller and niche audiences, platforms which give very unique audiences, because sometimes
these unique audiences are the ones which actually can give you that incremental reach, which otherwise maybe sometimes the open web, I mean the larger ecosystems are not able to get. So that's what I see. And obviously the other thing I'm hoping will happen is a unified protocol between the larger ecosystem and the open web, where advertisers can move seamlessly between the two in terms of learning. Because as the topic is about efficiency in business, that's something which I really hope in future in the next 5 years something which comes up, which gets done.
Fantastic. And Atik, love your perspective as well on the future here.
Yeah, in the way I see the future to be bright, promising, but at the same time very chaotic, very complex, and it's going to become worse, I would say. Having said that, I think it's kind of moved towards the privacy era, right? I mean, everybody's moving to the privacy era, which is kind of already started to push a lot of brands and agencies to focus on first-party data. And the whole idea is how do I collect first-party data, how do I enrich it and move it forward, how do I activate? So in your entire data stack kind of thing needs to kind of work across the ad tech, across the MarTech space, etc. So we're seeing surge in that. The other thing which we're seeing is a lot of clients are now becoming publishers as well, right? Be it the e-com players, be it everyone in the space. So that's kind of really picking up as such. And more importantly, I think innovation will continue to foster. And one thing that I need to say is that a lot of innovation, today's innovation that we see has happened on the open internet. I mean, be it the AI, ML, custom algos, DCO, rich media experiences and all that. So I think open internet will continue to play a very important role in the future of advertising in our country. And as all media starts becoming digital and all digital becomes programmatic, and eventually the right programmatic strategies will make advertising more welcome, more accessible. So that's my
Fantastic. Well, I want to thank the panel. I want to thank all of you for hopefully you learned a little something more about the open internet and the shifts of consumers, and certainly how you can take advantage of those shifts. But thank you all for listening.